is and always will be the greatest spectacle in racing. This is the Indianapolis 500. And Alex Palou leads very strong into turn one. Rinus VeeKay and Felix Rosenqvist with Scott Dixon going high.
Side by side with Scott Dixon there. A great move from the veteran. We got two wide all the way down through turn one. As we see turn two now, everyone files through clean.
He's going to have to get up to speed here quick. Look at Pato O'Ward on the inside. Slices up on Rinus VeeKay. Tucks in behind his teammate.
A forceful move, but I like the patience out of VeeKay. Still early in this race. VeeKay's right at the front with a fast race car. He's not going to risk it going into turn one.
As we've always said, this team shows up in a big way. The Pennzoil on board with Scott McLaughlin. Takuma Sato high off of two. That was tight.
Outside.
And now Tony Kanaan trying to come on the inside.
Half inside.
Power making moves, and you can see all kinds of dust in the air. I think that's from Tony Kanaan making a pass in the grass on the back straightaway.
There are cars going everywhere.
Oh, that's Stingray Rob.
Yellow.
First yellow of the race.
Of the day, they make a wing adjustment, and the McLaren guys easily hold turf.
Hey, Marty,
here.
crash.
Oh, my goodness.
Palou is out. Palou just got hit by Rinus VeeKay, who got sideways. Are you kidding me?
Wow. We told you earlier that pit lane, your race can be made or lost. Callum Eilert leads and the reigning champion goes right around the outside. That's Marcus Ericsson. He got 3 positions in the one turn.
All kinds of action. Mid-pack, Rosenqvist immediately to the front. But look at this 3-car battle. 2 Penske's and a Ganassi. Ericsson goes wide, and how about Alexander Rossi?
We just saw Stingray Rob end up in the wall being that high, but after the sweepers, you can utilize that second lane. Will Powers hung out to try. Connor Daly, Scott Dixon, 4 wide. Oh, he has
contact. They sent him right into his teammate. Although if you watch the right front tire changer, he was telling Colton Herta to hold.
Caution is out. What is it for? And it's for Romain Grosjean in the DHL Honda for Andretti Autosport.
The car's dead.
Ericsson will see that first and take off.
Remember that last restart went crazy. Now we're just 44 laps from an Indy 500 win. What's going to happen now? Joseph Newgarden to the high side of Ericsson going to 1.
And Ferrucci on the outside from 5th to 3rd in the one move. Pato O'Ward sits in 12th position.
How
Keep your
about
eyes on him.
Santino Ferrucci? AJ Foyt Racing is now 2nd in the Indy 500.
One more stop. He's going for the lead on Memorial Day weekend in the Stars and Stripes.
All clear.
AJ Foyt
Let's go.
Racing with Santino Ferrucci leads the Indianapolis 500.
Kyle Kirkwood, he's going to have the run on Joseph Newgarden.
Here comes Ferrucci. Here's the battle. Ferrucci drafts up on Rosenqvist, who beats him out.
Inside for Ferrucci on Rosenqvist. Don't discount Kyle Kirkwood. Here comes Newgarden on the outside of Ferrucci, the Shell Chevrolet.
That tire advantage is not nothing though, guys, as we see Joseph Newgarden on the outside of Felix Rosenqvist, moves that shell car.
Oh!
Felix in the wall, big time.
This is going to be a big hit right here. I don't know if he's going to keep it out of the turn 2 wall. Oh, no!
Kirkwood.
Ooh.
Kirkwood upside down. Here we go at the Speedway. The restart of the Indy 500. Marcus Ericsson and Pato O'Ward. And here comes Joseph Newgarden, taking the lead for Team Penske.
And stacked up behind him with Joseph Newgarden, 3rd to 1st. You see them 2 wide scrambling. Maybe a dive down into 2 there from Connor Daly on Scott Dixon.
Watch Santino Ferrucci and Alexander Rossi on the back straight. Rossi's in the orange car. Ferrucci goes to the high side. These two did not like each other in practice on Friday, and Ward goes to the front.
O'Ward on the inside of Marcus Ericsson and spins. Pato O'Ward has crashed out of the Indianapolis 500. Green is the call here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's go and watch Alexander Rossi, 4th car.
Oh, they're wrecking.
Big crash.
Peterson, Graham Rahal, Ed Carpenter, all in the wall before start finish.
Green flag flies at the Speedway. Palou is on the inside of Rossi, but Ericsson has bolted. Ericsson sprints away from Joseph Newgarden and is doing what he did a year ago. Joseph Newgarden has never won the Indianapolis 500, and he's ahead on this last lap. The drought isn't over for Joseph Newgarden, or does Marcus Ericsson have something?
By 2.
Team Penske at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Joseph Newgarden finally wins the Indianapolis 500. It's the captain's 19th win. Newgarden's first.
For you guys, thank you so much for the work.
Finally, Newgarden is an Indy 500 champ.
Watch the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix Sunday, June 4th at 3 p.m. on NBC.
Hey, Derek, unmute your thing.
There, let's try that. And with all of that, as we've been able to finally take a breath, welcome to the Push to Pass podcast, episode number 28. We did start a little earlier as usual because if you were paying attention on Sunday, there is so much to go over, so much to digest. I am Derik, and joining me as always is Josh there as well. Josh, first and foremost, before we get into what was an exciting, I think, to say the least, Indianapolis 500. I know this was your first time being able to cover this in the media. Curious to get your thoughts aspect of. I know you've been there as a spectator, but now as a person belonging to the media. What was your experiences? Anything different from being a spectator?
Oh, wow. It is 10 times more interesting being in the media and being able to cover this event than it was being in the crowd this a couple times I've been there. One of my biggest things that I've always said is with a track as big as IMS, you can't see everything. I mean, there's certain portions or certain parts of the racetrack, or if you're sitting, you can see a good portion of it, but you can't see everything. With being in the media center, you can see almost all the way around. Plus, having the larger the monitors to be able to show you what's going on on the track, because for some reason they will live stream NBC's coverage inside the track, but you know that blackout that no one likes to talk about, or it's not allowed to be talked about in the media center, extends to people outside, and I still never understand that. But being in the media center, being so close to the start finish line, watching those cars come off turn 4 for the first lap of the 500 was something special. Being close for the driver introductions, being able to go down on pit road, that was a one heck of a time. IMS, for all I've ever talked about, it's a fantastic track. This month of May, being able to get more access to things has just opened my eyes to how special the track is and how special the things are. I'm looking forward to next year being able to go. I know this later on this year we'll have another race out there at the road course, but I don't think anything will ever compare racing-wise to what I experienced on Sunday, being there as a part of the media and being able to watch that final lap of the race and seeing Joseph Newgarden not only win the race, but I think he topped. He won up to Helio. Helio perfected the climbing of the fence. You know what? Newgarden said, "Hold my beer. I'm going to go into the crowd." He may not have got as far up as he wanted to, but you know what? He had always dreamed about doing that, and he actually did it on Sunday. What a heck of a race.
Yeah, we were both talking about that as we watched there from the fourth floor of the Dex Imaging Media Center, and we both looked at each other and we're like, "What the hell is he about to do?" And listening to him in the post race press conference, which you were there as well, that was something that he scouted out. As a kid coming here to the Speedway, and then the times that Joseph just come up short, and like you said, congratulations to Joseph Newgarden, Team Penske, and the whole number 2 team, because what a phenomenal race they ran, and surprisingly, they came from the back. It wasn't somebody that we expected to be up at the front to win this. They had to work their way all day, keeping their nose to the grindstone, so to say. And yes, congratulations to him. But yes, it had to be one of the coolest, I think, celebrations that we've seen in quite a long time. Obviously, you said with Elio climbing the fence, that's how you got the name Spider-Man. For people that are interested in that. But yeah, Joseph Newgarden, just showing the raw emotion of winning that race, going into the crowd, and obviously he didn't get too deep in there, because I looked at you and said he's going to get mauled if he goes any deeper into the crowd. But yes, he did touch on that at the post race press conference there, that was something that he scouted out for so long, and he was just waiting for that time to do so. And obviously Sunday was his time. Believe it or not, Josh, that is Roger Penske's 19th Indianapolis 500 victory. So congratulations to the captain on that. He will be looking for Borg Warner number 20, if you can believe it or not, in just less than 1 year's time. A lot of storylines, obviously, coming from this race. That is why we started this episode a little earlier than we normally do. First storyline that comes to my mind is the trials and tribulations, not only the trials and tribulations for Dreyer Reinbolt Racing, along with Cusack Motorsports, with Stephen Wilson, and everybody knows the story behind that, and then having to find a driver to fill in for him, and they're able to get Graham Rahal into that seat, and we'll talk on his day here shortly, but also the trials and tribulations coming from driver analyst R.C. Enerson. We were over the moon, as they like to say, about RC being able to make, not only get to the 500, but make the starting field. I know we had on a couple occasions to talk to him one-on-one, but the trials and tribulations he had to go through, I think he completed 75 laps before he had a technical issue take his day away. But again, the job well done. Dreyer Reinbolt, Cusack Motorsports there, just everything that they had to overcome in that 72-hour time span. And then, sure enough, what's one more issue they have right there at the start finish line, start of the race? They have a battery go bad, so they have to change that out. There was a graphic that Don Cusack put out on social media earlier today, showed the heart rate of Graham Rahal. As you can see, he's even keel right before the race, but noontime when that green flag rather dropped, Josh, you've seen it. That heart rate definitely shot through the roof there. So they had to they were down a few laps as they got back on the track. So they were able to finish the race strong. A lot is pointing to a lot of indications, Josh, that we may see not only that number 24 car back at Indy in 2024, play on words there, but we also may see Stephen Wilson in that car next year as well.
Yep, hoping that Stephen can get back out there. We saw him on Sunday. He was freshly off of his surgery that he had earlier in the week, and just the fact that he was up and moving around after having a fractured back. He broke his back in a crash, and a lot of people lot of people don't I mean, it sounds severe, but for him to be up and moving around less than 4 days after having surgery, he had a brace on his back, and he looked in good spirits. I know he was bummed he couldn't race, but I think if there was one driver he wanted in that cockpit driving for him, it was Graham Rahal. It was unfortunate about Graham's start at the beginning of the race, I should say, and his technical difficulties. But for Stefan to be out there rooting on his team and checking on his guys so far out, so close after surgery is just a testament to the power of positive thinking. I'm assuming there's been hundreds of thousands of prayers. I know there was a card hanging outside the garage, Cusick Motors garage, where his car was being worked on and kept all month long. And there were so many signatures on it that when I went up there, I was only able to get my initials on there. But just to know that he'll probably put that in his somewhere in his house, because it means so much. The Indianapolis 500 this year didn't go exactly the way he wanted, but I know he was happy that Graham was out there and was able to race his car, and happy for Don Cusick, who put his heart and soul into this team. He was there every morning that I was told, and bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and just full of energy. Hopefully Stefan will be back next year. I have no doubt about it. He's a fantastic driver, and can't wait to see him out there next year. Hopefully taking the pole and taking the win.
Yeah, definitely can't wait for Stefan first and foremost. Obviously, his health is the main concern. Get back fully healthy, because obviously we want you back out there in 2024. And something I think important that you touched on before we get into the results of Sunday's race. You talked about the banner or card that was tethered to the garage that everybody could stop by and sign. And I was impressed, Josh, and I think you can probably speak on this a little more, being a born and bred Hoosier, even though I know you don't admit it. But the Hoosier, people talk about from this state the Hoosier hospitality, and I think it was on full display, obviously, not only through the month of May. I have to admit that it wasn't. I've attended the race and other events out there in previous years, and I have to say, and I don't know who gets credit for this, if it's just one person or what, but I thought, and maybe you've seen the same thing, that there was so much diversity out at the track this year. And what I mean by that is, how many people did you see, in the Hispanic community that had their Pato Award gear on, or how many people you seen from the, Japanese community that had Takuma Sada gear on. So, speak about the Hoosier hospitality, especially when it comes to everything, all the signatures, the way that Hoosiers kind of embraced Stefan Wilson.
Oh yeah. I'm not a Hoosier fan. I'm not an IU fan. I'm a fan of a different team, but I will never deny my Hoosier roots. Hoosier hospitality is one of the best things in the world. I don't want to just Hoosier hospitality is different than a lot of other hospitalities. There's Midwest hospitality that are the one that likes to talk about, but I feel like the state of Indiana just goes above and beyond sometimes. I've been in different states and in the Midwest, and sometimes I'll hold the door open for somebody in a different state, and they'll just walk by. Not in Indiana, no matter what part of town I am. They're always thanking me, and graciously, if there's a second door, they'll open it. But I think Stefan Wilson was embraced by the state of Indiana, just due to the fact that we love our racing. What other event do you get that 300,000 people, over 300,000 people show up? And I mean, a good chunk of those are all from Indiana. I mean, you got them coming from all over Indiana, but and also the diversity you were talking. This sport is growing more and more, and people are taking more pride in their home countries. There were so many different nations. The Netherlands. We talked to a lot of Australians that were there, New Zealanders. The Japanese fans running around trying to get pictures of Takuma Sato. I mean, he's a national hero there. He's a 2-time IndyCar 500 winner, and coming from a small island. I mean, it's its own country, but coming from a small island in the Pacific, for someone to be a national hero of that country is just, it's unbelievable. And I couldn't imagine the weight that goes on these drivers' shoulders. There's different guys pulling out their flags. We see it a lot in World Cup or World Baseball Championships, but the amount of culture that's going into IndyCar is just amazing. It's taking over. More and more of the drivers are coming from far away, and for a kid from Japan. I mean, what was it? He was growing up. He probably saw baseball, but he also somehow got a hold of the Indy 500, and that's one of his dreams to win. Will Power being from over there. It's just crazy, and it was exciting on Sunday watching everybody getting along. I didn't see anybody fighting or anything like that. So the Indy 500 truly is a special event that brings so many people together, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on in all of the different different countries, different nations were obviously represented there. And like I said, it was cool to see all of the people decked out in their favorite driver's gear, or if they have they're a driver that represents the country that they're from, they were decked out in that too. So obviously, as much as we come on here and say, IndyCar needs to do this, IndyCar needs to do that. I think it's safe to say, especially with the attendance, over 375,000, I think, give or take, and then the TV statistics come out too, and I think this is going to raise some eyebrows later in the show as well. So IndyCar is doing it right. I think when it comes to the international front, now it's just it's time to concentrate on the home front, and obviously we'll talk more about that as the season unfolds. But let's get to the results. If you have not seen them yet, not sure where you're living at if you have not seen them yet, but obviously. Time of the race, just under 3 hours, 2 hours, 58 minutes. Average speed, 168.193 miles an hour. There was 52 lead changes and 27 caution laps. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I know Josh has a strong opinion when it comes to caution laps, when it comes to red flags, and we'll get to that here momentarily. But the fastest lap was run by, surprisingly, David Malukas on lap 136. He ran 226.021 miles an hour. The fastest leader lap comes to Pato O'Ward, who that was my pick to win, and he only fell about 7 laps short there, getting undercut by Marcus Ericsson at 224.149 miles an hour, and again that was on lap 177. Joseph Newgarden, Marcus Ericsson, Santino Ferrucci were your top 3. And then Alex Palou, Alexander Rossi, Scott Dixon, Takuma Sato, the hometown hero, Connor Daly, Colton Herta, and Rinus VK round out your top 10. Then it was Ryan Hunter-Ray, Callum Ilott, Devlin DeFrancesca, Scott McLaughlin, Elio Castroneves, Tony Kanaan in his last ride finishing 16th, Marco Andretti, Jack Harvey, Christian Lundgaard, and Ed Carpenter round out the top 20. 21st was Benjamin Peterson. Huge congratulations goes out to Benjamin Peterson for being awarded the Rookie of the Year at the Indianapolis 500 last night. And then it was Graham Rahal, who, think about this, ladies and gentlemen, started dead last, had battery issues, so he's already down. He's already behind the 8 ball, down 2 laps, and ends up driving that machine, which he had very little time in, to a 22nd place finish. So huge props there to Graham Rahal. Will Power was 23rd. Pato Award, Simon Pagino, Augustin Campino, Felix Rosenquist, Kyle Kirkwood, David Malukas, and Roman Grosjean round out your top 30. And then it was Josh's favorite there, Stingray Rob 31, RC Enerson 32, and Catherine Legg was the first one to retire at 33. So moving over to the points as they stand right now, your new points leader, Alex Palou, Marcus Ericsson, Pato Award are your top 3. Then it's Joseph Newgarden, Scott Dixon, Scott McLaughlin, Alexander Rossi, Roman Grosjean, Will Power, and Colton Herta round out your top 10. Then it is Christian Lundgaard, Kyle Kirkwood, Felix Rosenquist, Callum Ilott, Santino Ferrucci, Rinus VK, Graham Rahal, David Malukas, Marcus Ericsson, and Connor Daly round out your top 20. Elio Castroneves, Jack Harvey, Devlin DeFrancesca, Augustin Campino, Simon Pagino, Benjamin Peterson, Stingray Rob, Takuma Sato, Ed Carpenter, and Ryan Hunter-Ray round out your top 30. And then it's Tony Kanaan and Marco Andretti. So that is what the points look like as of right now. We'll get back on screen here, Josh, and that's something I definitely didn't want to do. So let's fix that. Storylines, like I said, going into the race, we were curious to see how Graham Rahal would do. Congratulations to him for what he did. We both thought, I thought anyway, Pato Award was obviously going to be the 500 winner. I stuck by that, and I came up about 7 laps short thanks to Marcus Ericsson. I believe you had Alex Palou. Yours took a big, or no, excuse me, you didn't have Alex Palou on your pick. Which one? I know you went out on a limb here a little bit. Who do you remember? Who your pick was to win the race on Sunday? Josh, that works better if you unmute. Trust me.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I believe it was Sato, wasn't it? Did I take Takuma? I couldn't remember if I took him or DeFrancesco.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was.
I think I took Sato because he had been consistent all week, and I thought he was going to be able to pull it out. But
yeah, I think you might be right there. None of us was able. I think Takuma probably was the higher finisher, obviously, because Pato wrecked out there with just 7 laps to go. We'll have to update the board and bring that out next week. But I know we want to get into some post race as well, because I know you're going to have a strong opinion of how this race ended, and I have a feeling that I don't think you're going to be in the minority when it comes to this. But before we get to that, we do have a couple interviews, post-race interviews. Let's get to them, and then we will talk about this finish that I think has stirred up the paddock and IndyCar Nation to its core. But before we do that, like I said, let's get to 2 post-race interviews, both coincidentally Meyer Shank Racing. First, Elio Castroneves.
06 car didn't have the speed. We lost the balance on the 3rd pit stop machine, and we have to do some unscheduled pit stop for that. And from there on, it was just sort of like managing that. very difficult. But we're able to finish, I can't believe, in top 15, to be honest. I had some amazing saves out there, which was like, wow. And they're like, you got to stay out there. And I was like, I'm kidding right now because we're not making it. So it is Indianapolis. Congrats to Penske and Joseph. They were really fast in practice. And there we go. Now he got his one.
What happened on that start?
Which one?
The start at the beginning of the race. Didn't you stall out? Is that what you stalled?
Yeah, the clutch, since carburation was a little bit too, I was driving too quick and I didn't realize that, so thank God we were able to go back to our position.
Yeah, it was a great job from the entire team all day, a great strategy, and we worked on it all day to get faster as we moved up the field, and we were in a nice position for a top 10 at the end, so it was mission accomplished, almost accomplished, I would say. Obviously, we're always wanting to go for a win, and who knows what would have happened with all these red flags, but unfortunately, I got rear-ended on the yellow. The cars ahead of us are crashing, it's yellow, slowing down, but the car behind me did not slow down, and it took me out in a pretty big crash, so very unfortunate. Obviously, on oval racing, you've got to be eyes up and hope that driver understands the mistake he made. So, feel terrible for the guys that wasted a good day for us to be crashed on the yellow.
Let's try it again. Thanks to Elio Castroneves and Simon Pagino for both of those interviews. And I think Elio kind of touched on that a little bit there towards the end, and the way some of the restarts were taking place. I know I wrote an article today on Last Word on Motorsports talking about how salty, and I'm not sure if salty explains in great detail how Marcus Ericsson, who finished second in the race, felt about those restarts there at the end. You know, keep in mind, and I put this in the piece, Josh, that if Marcus Ericsson would have won that race, and I don't know how many people know this. But if Marcus Ericsson would have won that race, obviously not only would he have taken the purse of, I think $17 million, I believe is what the total purse was, but there is a bonus as well of $400,000, and that actually rolls over year after year. And basically what that bonus is if a driver, and the last one to do it was Elio Castroneves back in 2001, 2002. If you go back to back winning at the Indianapolis 500, there's a bonus that you get on top of the prize money. So, you know, not only did Marcus Ericsson lose out on the total purse, obviously, but he also lost out on an extra $400,000. But I know you have a strong opinion when it comes to this. I want to hear from you. But some of the quotes that brought this to light on Sunday, obviously Marcus kind of made the statement that he didn't think it was fair the way this race ended on TV, and then during his post race, it was brought up as well. You know, Marcus is talking congratulations to Joseph and Team Penske, and how he was happy with his performance, and that they had a great car, great strategy, great pit stops, et cetera, et cetera. But he says, I think it was a tough way to end the race. I really don't agree with how we did it. I don't think it was a fair way to end the race, but I'm proud of our effort. And there was two questions that were asked to Marcus. The first one was, what is it about the end you didn't like? So Ericsson goes on to clarify, saying that I think it wasn't enough laps to go to what we did. I don't think it's safe to go out of the pits on cold tires for a restart when half the field is sort of still trying to get on the track when we go green. I don't think it's a fair way to end the race. I don't think it's the right way to end the race, so I can't agree with that. And then the last question that he was asked on this topic was, have you talked to IndyCar, or do you plan on talking to IndyCar about it? And Marcus Ericsson simply responds, no, it is what it is. I just have to deal with it. So that was obviously his tone right there. I couldn't match that, Josh, but you were there, and I think we're both in agreement that Marcus Ericsson, his answers and his demeanor, his body language, he was awful salty at the way this ended. Obviously he probably wasn't thinking about the money, but being a two-time Indy 500 champion does carry a little bit of weight, especially remember that he is a free agent at the end of the year as well. So that would look pretty damn good, I think, on a resume. But I know while we were going through these red flags and restarts, you were strongly of a certain opinion. So I'm going to sit back and let you share that with everyone that you were talking about Sunday in the media center.
Nobody wants to see a race like this end in a caution. I understand Marcus's his complaint. I think $400,000 kind of weighed into that complaint. Yes, he wanted to be a two-time champion of the Indianapolis 500, but he was extremely salty in his answers. You got to realize that you're there to entertain the fans. You're there to win. You're there to compete, but you're also there to entertain the fans. And I, for one, would not be in favor of ending a race that has been that emotionally charged and had so many things in it on a caution. It's boring. It doesn't sell tickets. I mean, you're not going to sell tickets. You're always going to sell tickets to the 500 because people are going to show up no matter what. But if they going forward use this strategy to where they want to end the race under green and they have the ability to, I don't know why IndyCar feels that just because you're on a lap does not mean it has to be an actual lap that counts towards the race. You got 500 miles, you go 200 laps, but they want 200 competitive laps. Why not, while the cars are under red, if you're afraid that someone's going to run out of fuel, let them. The only thing you can do is splash of fuel. You can get fuel into the car, you can't touch it, you can't take you can't take anything else, you can't fix anything else on the car except for gas. Then you run, 3 or 4 laps going around under caution. It's a red caution. We'll call it a red caution because you have caution, you have yellow caution, you have red. Red means you can't do anything. Cars are parked. Go for a couple, get those tires warmed up, then go around, throw the green, throw the white at the same time. Boom, bing, bang, boom. We got a fantastic race at the end, and Marcus Ericsson is happy. Don't know if he would have been happy if they would have done that, but he may have been a little bit more happy. But it wasn't like he went out there with tires that were colder than Newgarden's. Newgarden's were just as cold as his. And yes, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for you as the leader to be able to fend off somebody from behind. But if you're the better driver, you're going to be able to. Not saying that he's not a good driver. He is a fantastic driver. He's an Indy 500 winner. But to me, saying that it wasn't safe was not. It wasn't that. That's wrong. It's not. The safety aspect of it was not going. It was not. It wasn't like someone's going to die. Was somebody, if somebody would have gotten to a wreck behind them and they would have had to throw a caution, I could understand. Then we were end under caution, but give it every chance in the world to be able to finish under green. It's what the fans want. Don't be happy to win a race under caution, especially a race of that magnitude. So I didn't agree with Ericsson. I thought it was a good end of the race. It gave the fans what they wanted, and it gave the fourth closest finish ever. I don't remember who the other two were. I know the number one is Sam Hornish passing somebody in the end. I was there in 06, and that was a fantastic race, and it got people up. And I will say, as somebody that was not a big fan of the,
I believe he passed Marco Andretti there at the end, didn't he?
He did. That's who it was. It was Marco Andretti. He passed him at the end, and that was a fantastic race. Great end of the race. And this, I will tell you, I was up on my feet looking at the monitor, and I ran over to the window and so that I could go see Newgarden if he was going to be able to hold on to it. Screaming in the media center, I was. I don't think they're allowed to do that. They probably frown upon it, but I was doing it because I thought it was an excellent end to that race. And I disagree with Ericsson, but that's just how I feel.
I'm going to, and I'm going to probably be in the minority here, but I'm going to agree with Ericsson to a certain extent. As Dave first pointed out, that in drivers' meetings, the IndyCar officials make it known to the drivers that they want to try to end a race under green as much as possible. So I get that. I think that's where, Marcus is putting, emotion is kind of clouding his judgment a little bit. Obviously, I mean, again, putting a two-time Indy 500 winner on a resume, being a free agent at the end of the year, I think we both agree, like I said, looks pretty damn good. But with that being said, where I'm going to disagree, or actually where I'm going to agree with Marcus Ericsson, is it a little unsafe? One could make that argument, because do you really want to go? Let's see, what the average speed was, what, 200, or it was one something, but obviously that last lap wide open, you're 225, 230 maybe. Do you really want to put yourself in a position where on cold tires, where you have absolutely no grip whatsoever on cold tires, going 225, 230 miles an hour, and we just witnessed a few laps ago, Kyle Kirkwood, and praise the heavens, IndyCar would have had one heck of a mess on their hands if that tire hit somebody. But on cold tires, do you want to relive that again? So I do see where Marcus's point about it being unsafe. Yes, I get that. Going, those speeds, going at those speeds on cold tires, I get that. But I'm hoping that Marcus wasn't trying to take the easy way out and try to back his way in, so to say, to become that two-time Indy 500 champion, hoping that they finished it under yellow. So, like I said, I do agree with Marcus that it is a little unsafe to go at those speeds on cold tires. But I just hope that Marcus wasn't trying to, like I said, backdoor his way in, so to say, and become that two-time Indy 500 champion, put that on a resume, put that on a T-shirt, whatever. But like I said, I do agree with Marcus to a certain extent. I think it is unsafe to go at those speeds, like I said. But again, if the point is made and the point is stressed during the drivers' meetings, like Dave first said, that the IndyCar officials tell the drivers they want to end a race under green as much as possible, well, then Marcus is just going to have to obviously accept the outcome, because I think at this point nothing's gonna be done, nor nothing's gonna change.
One thing I would ask him, and I mean, none of the other reporters asked him, and I wasn't up there to ask him. What if, play devil's advocate, what if it was you? What if Newgarden was in first and you were in second, and they decided not to end the race under caution, and you won the race? What would you be saying? Would you be saying the same exact thing, or would you just be, I'm a two-time 500 winner. That's how we should have ended the race. Nobody wants to see the race end under caution. Newgarden ran a good race, but I just ran a better one, and I was luckier at the end. That's how you got to look at it. these guys that come out, and it was an excuse. It was an excuse, in my opinion, that Ericsson lost. He was so excited. I know in the back of his brain he thought, "Wow, there's only 3 laps to go. There's only 2 laps. They're seriously not going to end this. I mean, they're going to end this on caution. I am a two-time 500 winner. I got $400,000 more in my bank account coming soon." That's all he was thinking. And then when they decided they weren't going to end it under yellow, he started thinking of all the excuses. It's unsafe. We shouldn't do this. But what if it was him? What if he would have been the one that was fortunate enough for the 500 to play out the way it did, and he was the winner? How would he have reacted? Now, I know on Sunday, had we asked that, he wouldn't have been. He would have given the answer of, "Oh, I still would have felt the same way." Blah 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 blah. You can't convince me that the fact that he lost did not factor into his decision on how he was going to answer that question. Had he won, he'd have been just fine with it.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and and obviously we didn't ask that, and none of the the reporters the time that they had with Marcus Ericsson asked that either. And we're obviously I want to make the point that we're not taking away from the great day that Marcus Ericsson had, and we're not trying to beat him down, but I think that's an excellent point there. What if the roles were reversed? And what if Marcus Ericsson was in second place and Joseph Newgarden was in first? And how would Marcus Ericsson's opinion change? Would he have not been as salty if he was in second place compared to being in first place like he was? I think that's an excellent point. And maybe somewhere down the road, maybe at when we come back to Indy or maybe Detroit this weekend, or maybe even Nashville, maybe we can try to get a word or a comment and put it on air and see what Marcus says. But yeah, we're not trying to diminish his driving skills, because Marcus Ericsson knows more about a race car and can drive a race car better than me and Josh combined. So that's not at all. We're just we're just asking the question as journalists, what would Marcus Ericsson's thinking and response be if the roles were reversed? If he was in second place and Joseph Newgarden was in first, and they were going to go out and basically run a one-lap shootout, because that's basically what it was on Sunday, was a one-lap shootout, would Marcus Ericsson's opinion change? And I think that's a great question, and hopefully, one of us will be able to get the opportunity in the future to bring that up. But we talked about the start of the race there, and then some of the wrecks. But there's two that stick out in my mind, and we'll have Mike from Burnout Sports, Burnout Bets join us at the bottom of the hour. But the first wreck that comes to mind, obviously, the vicious. And I think in every sense of the word, vicious hit that Kyle Kirkwood took. Thank heavens again that the tire that came apart there, the tether, which holds those tires on, and IndyCar obviously learned their lesson from that, and that was developed to keep those tires on. Obviously, looking at the replay, Felix Rosenquist's tires completely shredded that tether, which sent that back tire into the stands. Like I said, luckily it cleared, hitting any spectators. Did some front hood damage to somebody, to I can't say lucky, but to somebody. But I'm sure they're going to get that fixed. But I know you had you were grimacing watching Kyle Kirkwood hit the wall and then basically slide down the track on the top half of his car. Curious to have you share what you were thinking watching that replay of Kyle Kirkwood and that vicious hit that he took there late in the race.
The onboard camera and just the loudest thud that I think I've ever heard from a race car, just when he goes upside down, and it just, those onboard cameras, I can only imagine if it on TV, it was so hard. You could feel the hit through the TV just listening to it every time they would replay it. It it was unworldly, and I just can only imagine how Kirkwood was feeling. Being he was upside down. I mean, I know with the new cars, there's a considerable amount of room in between when they go upside down between between their helmets and what would be the ground. But just to think, I don't know what he was thinking going through that. I like he's upside down. He can't see where he's going. He's like, okay, what am I going to hit? Is somebody coming behind me? What if someone comes behind me and hits me hits me broadside? I mean, in that moment, I think I would have wet my fire suit. I mean, I don't think I would have had anything left in my bladder because I would have just been so nervous of, oh crap, what's going to happen? Okay, I'm slowing down, but who's coming behind me? And that wheel coming off, and like you said, it was just so miraculous that did not hit anyone. Because I mean, those tires got to weigh 30, 40 pounds, and just imagine them being flying through the air at probably 20, 30 miles an hour, hit somebody in the head, that they're dead. I mean, they're dead, or they have severe brain damage for the rest of their lives. Are they broken something if it hits them in the chest or something? That could have been utterly dangerous. And that tether, I mean, the one of his other tires held on, but that one that was just launched into the stands, that's just amazing. God was looking out for someone right there that didn't hit anyone. And I have heard that the young lady that was working at the track, that was her car that hit. She was working in it. They told her about it. They got her a ride home. I do believe they took her in one of the Camaros that was used on one of the pace laps at the beginning. And they're going to fully fix her car, and I believe they allowed her out onto the track so she could go kiss the yard of bricks, which was a really cool thing. But yeah, that hit, and Kirkwood, and what I couldn't figure out, and you told me that how they tell the people that they're okay is they flip their visor up. He flipped his visor up while he was skidding. I mean, and you could see the sparks coming behind him. That one of those sparks get or something, something flies up, gets in his eye and hurts. I just couldn't figure out why he didn't wait till he came to a rest to flip his visor up to show them that he was okay. But once again, that was one of the hardest hits I think I've ever heard on a race car.
Yeah, it was definitely a loud thud when Kyle Kirkwood hit the outside barrier, and then as you said, and I thought the same thing. I didn't know at the time why Kirkwood's still sliding on the asphalt there, and you see the sparks behind him, why he flips his visor up. Now I understand what the reasoning is, but I think you're right that wait till you come to a stop and there's no sparks and there's no anything else that's going to be able to fly up from the track, rubber, whatnot, at whatever speed that could roll up there and get something lodged in your eye, and then you're permanently blind in one eye or whatnot. But lost in all of this, and I don't know, I haven't listened to the radio call, and I don't believe TV touched on it either. A lot of credit I think has to go to Dallara. And it's as safe as they have made these cars. We've seen last week over the years some of the horrendous crashes, and some guys were able to walk away. Obviously, some weren't. But the safety has come such a long way, and safety in the car. Huge credit I think goes to, like I said, Dallara for this car that they have designed, they have made. And obviously, not only Kyle Kirkwood's wreck on Sunday, but Pato O'Ward, who, after seeing it on replay today, I am of the opinion, and I think you share the same one, that Marcus Ericsson finds himself in controversy again. I think Pato had the clean pass. I don't think it was radioed down to Marcus Ericsson to give Pato room. Obviously, with a handful of laps left, that probably goes out the window. But Pato had that pass. He was better to clear him, and then that's when they ended up making contact that sent Pato into the wall, and it ended his day. So a lot of storylines coming from this, and I remember listening to Pato's interview on NBC, and I know you caught this as well. He said something to the effect of, if that's how he wants to race, well, we can do that. So it's going to be interesting to see the next time Pato Award and Marcus Ericsson find themselves side by side on the track, what may or may not take place from that. But interesting stat that I just came across on Twitter. Mike from Burnout Sports, Burnout Bets, is going to be joining us here in just a short time. But his cohort there, Tony Donahue at Tony D Indy on Twitter, Josh, just put this out that with Tony Kanaan retiring, with Tony Kanaan retiring, the lap leaders at the Indianapolis 500 that are active. Ready for this? Scott Dixon, 665 laps led. Elio Castroneves, number 2, at 326. What a drop off. Third is Simon Pagenaud with 169. Ryan Hunter-Reay, 4th at 163, and Ed Carpenter, Indianapolis's own Ed Carpenter, with 146. So interesting statistic there. Let's move over to our sponsors, Josh. Let's get to them. Because we can't obviously bring everyone a show here on the Push to Pass podcast without them. First, Always Ready 1776 for apparel, patriotic apparel, headwear, and more. Check out Always Ready 1776.com. And as always, if you use the promo code right before checkout, Push to Pass, you will get 10% off of your order. That's Always Ready 1776.com. And then also to Get 'em Associates for all your design, build, and remodeling needs. Remember, it's getem.com. And their promo code as well. If you use Push to Pass, you will get $250 off any design service. That is Get 'em Associates. You can find them at getem.com. So a huge thank you to them for everything that they do, all the work bringing you these shows and allowing us to give out promo codes to give people discounts to not only cool patriotic apparel, but home design as well. I do see, Josh, that our betting guru, outside of you, obviously, has stepped into the room. So I'm going to be curious to hear his thoughts on what took place this weekend. But Mike from Burnout Sports, Burnout Bets, is joining us. Mike, what a wild weekend! I think a wild race on Sunday, to say the least.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was quite the betting sweat. I enjoyed it. I didn't make money. It's the first 500 in the last 4 years that I had a losing weekend. It wasn't as bad as I thought when I went back and tabulated all the bets. It was awesome to see all the props, all the matchups, all the things the sportsbooks had for a long period of time up on the betting board. And it was really cool to see all the interaction with the betting going on, from the Action Network to just the people online, and just all the buzz around the betting. I wish we would have hit some of these bets. We were one. Well, I mean, I thought Pato had the best car. I think everybody's talking about how he's pissed about Ericsson squeezing him. Well, he was a dumbass for trying to go down there to begin with. He had fresh tires, wasn't saving fuel. Like, I don't know why he tried to make that move. It was way too aggressive. Now, who knows what would happen when we got like 4 red flags towards the end, and whoever was in second, I think, was going to be the winner. But yeah, so I thought Pato was going to win it. And I had a lot of money on him, and then I actually would have profited. I know I have the bet on Ericsson not to win another race, so I was very conflicted at the end of that race. But I also Ericsson winning, I would have hit the Ganassi bet for me, and would have hit the grid bet for me. So I stood to stand to win a lot more money if he just would have won the race. I could have easily made up for that. So I was rooting for Ericsson. I don't know if they should have had another red or not. I don't think I have a strong opinion on that either way. I would have done better if Ericsson would have won in the scheme of. But hey, that's it's all for fun, and I think the betting angle of it made it way more fun for me. It doesn't take much with the betting to make the Indy 500 fun, but it was awesome. You guys make money, Josh. You have I didn't have a thing of Joseph. I had nothing.
No, I put some money out there. The only thing I won was I won $10 because I bet Chevrolet was going to win. That was that. I asked Derik who was going to win, either Honda or Chevy, and he said Chevy, and I won money off that. But everything else I lost. We went through and did a big parlay of all the matchups and didn't win that. I'd have to go back and figure out who didn't win that one for me, but. Of course, I put money on Pato and Polo, and they just couldn't pull it out. The two favorites didn't pull it out. So
yeah, I mean, I had I did hit 3 of the top 5, so that was good. I had Polo came out of nowhere, snuck back in there. I had him top 5. I had Ferrucci top 5, and I had Rossi top 5, and all those paid at 2 and 3 to 1. So that saved my day, and I did very well in the matchups too. Our boy RC Anderson, I wouldn't have bet that if it wasn't the fact that he was on your show. We talked to RC. RC over Catherine crashed, and that was actually that was a good sweat, that ticket, because Catherine said that they were going to try to get her car back in the race, and he went out. And if I spent the whole race staring at the waiting to flash over to see if she got back in her car, because I think all she had to do was run like 10 laps, and he would have finished last, and she would have finished 32nd. So I was sweating that the whole race while, paying attention to what was going on in the front. I'm like, is she coming back or not? So that was a win in that matchup. And then I think I had 5 others I put out. I went 3 for 5 or 4 for 6 or something like that. So the matchups did well for me. I didn't parlay any of them. I try not to do that any more than 2. That's just how sports books make money. You just it's good for fun. Definitely is good to put a big one together and go for fun, with little money. But when you're betting a little bit more, you have to be careful with that. So yeah, it was a cool race. I don't know. Do you guys think the last red? I didn't hear I'm sure you talked about it. What was it? Was a yes or a no on the last red flag for you two?
I was in agreement that they should have red flagged it, and they should have got it going. I know Ericsson had 400,000 reasons of why he didn't want it, and he would have been a bit of 2-time. But I was excited. I was sitting in the media center. I was like, "Oh God, we're ending under yellow." And then when they said we're throwing a red, I was like, "Thank gosh, they're thinking of the fans. They want this to go." I came up with how they could have fixed it. They could have just, gave everyone a splash of fuel, nothing else on the car, ran a couple laps under what I would have called it red caution, just to get those tires warmed up, and then they could have thrown the green white and the green white checkered and finished that way, and maybe Ericsson wouldn't have been so mad. But I'm in agreement. I think it was a good end of the race. And I think Ericsson at the end was just trying to find any excuse he could because he lost. And but if roles were reversed, I think he would have graciously accepted the win. He would have been like, "Hey, that's how they did it."
Yep, that's always a good barometer. I think, by the way, I do think that next year they got to get rid of they got to make a rule about the dragon thing. Like, I don't think they should be able to take the car under that solid pit lane entry line. 1, I think it's dangerous, and 2, I'm just like, look, if some guy gets a run and gets the draft, like, let's have 2 cars side by side going into that finish, a la Goodyear Unser Jr. finish. I think if they get rid of that, because guys are just going to keep pushing that limit, and somebody might, something crazy might happen. They clip that pit wall. We've seen cars get torn in half and people die, but I think they got to get rid of that. But yeah, I'm whatever. Like, I think that's a good solution, a red, yellow, like 1 lap. Because I know, we're not running extra laps in the 500. I wouldn't be a fan of that. And I like that, I don't want to break tradition. But yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm with Marcus because I'm just bitter because I lost money, but I would have taken the Ericsson win, but it's all good. It wasn't bad. It was an awesome race. I'll be right back on betting. Put me down now for Pato. Like the second I see 500 odds, if he's not the favorite or if he's anywhere double digits or it's somebody else because of his finish, put me down for him for next year. He's gonna win that race. I still think him and Pillow, I still thought were the best cars. Pillow kind of got hosed, and he still came all the way back. Put me back down for those two again for the 500 next year. And I think it's just and I'm surprised. I'm surprised how Joseph, smart race, right place, right time. I don't know if he was the strongest car, but good for him. I like him. I think he's a good ambassador for the sport. I think he'll be great. I saw him doing his media tour today. Like, I think he's awesome for that. And the more eyes, we can get on Indy, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm of the opinion, first and foremost, I think you're absolutely right. Joseph is a great ambassador for IndyCar and for the sport. I think you're absolutely spot on there. If you didn't see, Marcus was a little salty, to say the least, after the race. But I understand where he's coming from, especially, do you really want to run, a one-lap shootout at 220, 225 miles an hour on cold tires? I mean, I get where he's coming from. I understand that. But to what Josh said, and I think this is a great point, and no one asked him, Marcus, this, if the roles were reversed, are you of the same opinion?
Yeah, no. So, probably not. So, yeah, I don't know. There's precedent, I guess, for them doing the opposite. So, hey, whatever. Like I said, I don't have a strong opinion either way. It's fine. It was fun. It's good for the fans. Like, let's see it finish under green. I mean, I didn't see anybody lose anything because of the tires. He lost because he didn't want to be in first on the last lap. Like, that's why he lost. Like, he was in the wrong spot. So, that's pretty much how it worked out. The guy that was in second always had the run, and then they could just snake it through the start, snake it off of 4 or dragging it, whatever you want to call it. And that's how it worked out. So if it would have been one more lap, Ericsson would have won, right? Joseph should have been smart enough not to pass him.
Yeah. So with the 500 now behind us, Mike, and coming up to Detroit this weekend, new course, nobody knows what to expect. How tough does this make handicappers, like yourself, when it comes to betting on IndyCar at a track like Detroit, where it's a whole weekend of unknowns until they get track time on Friday?
Yeah, you just gotta be careful. I doubt the sportsbooks even put odds. They don't know either. If they do, maybe they'll make them. I mean, look, the only thing you can go on as better is street courses this year. So Grosjean, Kirkwood, the Andretti cars have been the best street course cars, Long Beach. So maybe look to some of those if you make a bet before quals. Otherwise, you got to just wait and watch and see who's going to be quick at this track. It's interesting. I mean, there could be some opportunities. It's just, look at the numbers and see what the numbers are, see what the sportsbook puts out there. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if we get any odds. So I'll be keeping an eye on it and watching. I'll actually be in Vegas, so I'll be poking around some of the sportsbooks this weekend and seeing if any of them are going to post odds on the race. And then I'll be watching it on the plane on the way home, and I'll hopefully have some tickets in my hand from Vegas books, but we'll see. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. There's nothing to go off of except street course knowledge. So I guess that's more than probably what the sportsbook have, but you're going to have to keep an eye and see what the drivers say, keep an eye and watch what the times are, and hope that, I have more information than the sports books do. So we'll see.
Josh, what a Josh, what a great cliffhanger that by Mike. I guess that'll give people a reason, if they don't already, to follow him on Twitter. Expectation of you and Tony doing a Spaces before the green flag drops on 3:00 on Sunday.
That's a great question. We're gonna have to work on travel plan. I haven't even thought about that yet, man. Yeah, we always want to try to do those. I'll have to talk to him about travel plans, and I'll have to figure out time zones and whatnot. I think I actually get back into the Eastern time zone around 2:00. I leave very early, but I don't know if I'm going to bed Saturday night. So this could be a rough one. We'll see. We're gonna have to play this one by ear. Definitely I'll be on my Twitter and be putting stuff out there. Maybe I'll do one from the airport. I got a connection, I think, on Sunday. So we'll figure that out, and we'll keep an eye out on Twitter, keep an eye out on Burnout Bets Twitter, and then my Twitter, and we'll get all that announced, and we'll see what happens. I think Tony's going to be at the track, which will be super helpful for getting some inside information on the new track. And there'll be something there's always something screwy at new tracks, right? Either like a corner's too tight, or the pavement's jacked up, or there's a big bump somewhere, or hey, Detroit's notorious. I still can't get over my willpower bet that I lost, where the freaking ground came up and they had to re-asphalt because there was a hole, and then the car overheated because they had a red flag them. And yeah, I'm still bitter about Detroit. So we'll see what happens. Something crazy will happen. We'll have to figure it out.
Mike, good stuff as always. Can't wait to see what you have this weekend for everyone. Definitely pay attention to his Twitter and get the latest from him and Tony Donahue as well. Mike, as always, a huge thank you, and we will see you 1 week from now.
Good luck in Vegas this week.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
See you.
Josh, good stuff there. It'll be interesting to see what Mike and Tony come up with. Obviously, like we said, being a brand new course in Detroit, we had so much to go over on this episode that we couldn't get Detroit in, but I know I will be writing a preview this week over at Last Word on Motorsports, so check that out. We'll get to our news and notes section, and then I guess it'll be time for us to get out of here and put a wrap on episode 28 and the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500. I know earlier, Josh, we talked about TV and the new the statistics that came out that NBC released earlier today, as you see up on screen. Indianapolis 500 averages nearly 5 million viewers on NBC and Peacock, and that is up 2% from 2022. The greatest spectacle in racing delivered 13 share, best in 15 years, and most watched Sunday afternoon telecast on NBC since June 2022. Race peaked at nearly 6 million viewers as Joseph Newgarden took the checkered flag and celebrated in the grandstands with the fans. The 107th Indianapolis 500, which was presented by Gainbridge, averaged a total audience delivery of 4.2 million viewers across NBC and Peacock. That is up 2% with the numbers from the 2022 race, which were 4.84 million, according to the fast national data released by Nielsen and digital data from Adobe Analytics. Viewership on the Spanish language cable network Universo is not yet available. Sunday's race, which was from 12:48 p.m. to 4:19 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which was won by Team Penske driver Joseph Newgarden in a thrilling last lap pass over 2022 winner, delivered a 13 share, which is a percentage of homes watching television at that time of the race. It's best in 15 years. The last time it was this high, 2008. The race was also the most watched Sunday afternoon program on the NBC broadcast network in nearly a year, since the final round of the 2022 U.S. Open on June 19th, 2022. The greatest spectacle in racing peaked at 5.8 million viewers from 4 o'clock to 4:15 p.m. during its thrilling conclusion, as viewers watched Newgarden take the checkered flag and then climb into the grandstand to celebrate his first 500 win with the fans. TV-only viewership on NBC averaged 4.7 million viewers, while streaming across Peacock and NBC Sports digital programs averaged 216,000 viewers, on par with last year, which was 219,000, despite being geo-blocked in the Indianapolis area for the first time. It is the second most streamed IndyCar race ever, behind last year. The Indy 500 was highlight of busy Sunday for NBC Sports and Peacock, which streamed 20 sporting events, including 10 Premier League Championship Sunday matches, the first round of the Roland Garros, the LA Dodgers at Tampa Bay Rays, both PGA Tour and LPGA events, the WWE, and more. NBC Sports exclusive coverage of the NTT IndyCar Series continues with the streets of Detroit this Sunday, June 4th at 3 p.m. on NBC and Peacock. So Josh, with everything I just said there, all that big word salad what is your takeaway with the viewership from this past Sunday's race?
It's great. Glad to see that that the race was viewed by a lot of people. I mean, the race was awesome. I mean, if you watched it, I hope that this brings a lot more eyeballs onto the race, onto the NTT IndyCar series throughout the rest of the year. I'm going to hold my breath on that, just due to the fact that this was the Indy 500. Everyone knows what the Indy 500 is. We'll see how the viewership for Detroit goes. Is it up? Is it down? It's a new track, so I mean it's a new place that they're racing. They're not at Belle Isle, so that may bring in a couple more viewers than normal. But I'm always hoping that the viewership will grow. Only time will tell. It's good to see that there was more viewership on this year's than last year's. That shows, but the 500 is always going to bring a big crowd. It's now how does IndyCar capitalize on that? How do they capitalize on what happened at the end of the race to be able to bring more eyeballs to the sport?
Yeah, I think that's a great point there. How does IndyCar follow up the greatest spectacle in racing in Detroit this weekend? I think that's a great point, and we'll have to see when that viewership comes in next Tuesday what those numbers look like. Speaking of the streets of Detroit, I know I'm going to be headed there on Saturday. I know Josh has a prior obligation that completely slipped his mind, so he is going to be won't be able to come to Detroit, but I know he's going to be joining us in Indy, obviously later in the year, and then in Nashville as well. So can't wait to get to Detroit, get settled in, and stay tuned to Push to Pass on the social media platforms that you see scrolling down below your screen for all of the updates, practices, interviews, etc. that are going to be taking place this weekend in Detroit for the streets of Detroit. So we'll pull up the schedule here, take a look at it. As you see should be coming up on your screen right there. June 4th, streets of Detroit. Can't wait to get there. Can't wait to see what this track, Josh, is going to look like, and what's going to be in store for all of the IndyCar drivers this weekend. So before we wrap things up, anything else that you want to add, touch on here before we get on out of here?
Just one other thing. It was pretty funny. You probably saw it earlier. Marcus Harrison's. Sorry, he's got me so salty in my brain. Newgarden, did you see his ring fell apart? The ring they gave him. Hopefully that was just like a temporary one. That the one that they're actually going to give him is a little more sturdy than one just falling apart. I know Jostens does that, and that can't look good on him. But the picture was circulating around that his ring had fallen apart. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did see that earlier today, and like you said, I'm sure the captain there, Roger Penske, is going to get Jocelyn's squared away and get that issue fixed as soon as possible. And glad to see Joseph out doing the media tour today. I know he was in New York at the stock market. So like Mike said, and we both agree, Joseph is going to be a great ambassador here for the next 360 some days until we crown a new Indy 500 champion. So with all that being said, that does it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. A huge thank you to Mike, as always, for joining us. Also, too, a huge thank you to Elio Castroneves and Simon Pagino for giving us a little bit of their time to talk about the race that they had on Sunday as well. We will join you 1 week's time to talk about what transpired in the streets of Detroit. But like I said, stay tuned, stay glued to the Push to Pass podcast social media accounts, where you'll be able to get updates, interviews, practice times, etc., this weekend in Detroit. So for Josh, Derik, everyone else that has a part in this Push to Pass podcast, thank you, and so long until 1 week from now.
5-4, coming to the checker.
Checker flag. Good job, buddy. Okay, good. Sorry. Good one bit. Nothing to apologize, buddy. Great job all month long. Awesome, dude. Not good enough, but thank you.
They're all clear. Good job there, Scott. Well done today.
Okay, went so early. Yeah.
Not bad.
Oh, sorry, guys. Good job to Joseph.
All right, checker flag, bud.
Pink one.
Good job all month, guys. You guys were really good all month. Sorry about that. We had a car to win today, and I ruined that. Button was off on there. I don't know what he's doing. Thanks for hanging in there all day, bub. Right, second flag right there. I believe that is T17. That was a long day. Way to stay in it. We'll box this time. Marco's rolling right with you here.
All right, nice job, Jack. Way to hang in there. Thank you, spotters, for the day. Up and down, P18 at the end. Certainly was difficult in the middle, but that was quite an adventure at the end. Thank you, guys. Thank you, crew. On to Detroit.
Great job down there, everyone. Good calls. Nice job behind the wheel there, Jack. It was a lot of fun up here.
Let's come into the checker flag. Good job there. Hang in there. No, that was extremely tough and frustrating day. Good pitch stop. Way to hang in there. So interesting there on the tires for it too. Before we had to pit there, because you were so loose, you were actually like 67.